Hello, it's Pete here and welcome to the vlog. Now we are having a look at another die set from Tim Holtz Winter Collection. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but it's inevitable. You always gravitate to one die set, and it's usually the quirky ones that I like. And today we're looking at holiday blocks. Now, you can do traditional, you can do contemporary. They're just great shapes. You can build them up in so many ways. You can create the smallest card, you can create the biggest card, because the way that the blocks themselves fit together, they just grow and grow and grow. Now, we're going to be looking at something like this today. I'm going to be creating a card in a little while using some of these shapes and these colors. But if we take a look at something like this, so this is done using pattern papers and so on and so forth, trying to get that contrast so that they're not fighting with each other. Some of them are like this, where we've got sort of dry brushing going on and brayer work. And of course, we've got that lovely wood grain background as well. So the wood grain is in the Tim's Winter Collection. It's one of many wood grain type embossing folders that Tim has done. And the great thing about it is they're all different, but they all work perfectly together. So let's talk about holiday blocks. So these are the holiday blocks. This is the set. And these bits, these are the blocks, of course. And you'll be amazed at the way that they go together. And then we have some of the detail dies, so those are probably trees. We've got some lovely detail bits, some stars. There's another block there. Some of them are just designed to create detail in your shapes, like this one here and that one there. It's just a really lovely, lovely set. And it's one of those sets that you never get the same thing twice. There's no repetition. You can create whole worlds using this set. It's wonderful. And if we look at the blocks themselves, these guys. Now, let me just bring in something. I printed this off. I measured the sizes and printed it off to show how these go together. So that could be a card in itself. You know, just these three together, or maybe even add that fourth one. So it's entirely up to you how you want to put these together. Now imagine that I printed 4 of these. We could put them side by side. It can be as big or as small as you want. So you could do a lovely framed piece, you know, for if you want to go down the home decor route, but it's absolutely ideal for creating really cute bespoke Christmas cards. Now, at the start, we looked at this Christmas card, and it's one of a series. So if I bring in, and it's all using, of course, the same blocks, different sizes, different scales. It's entirely up to you. What I like about this, and what makes it so contemporary, is the color palette that we've chosen for that. And to get the not just the colors, but the effects, what I actually did was I used a brayer. So I used matte acrylics, and I applied the acrylics to pieces of cardstock using my brayer. Now we need one more, so I'll show you how I did that. And I'm going to bring in my Sizzix medium matte, my constant companion. There we are. We'll pop that in there. And this is the card that I want to apply the color to. Now, to apply the color, I'm going to dip into my Sizzix toolkit and take out my multi-tool. That's the ink blending head, incidentally. But today we're going to be using the brayer. So I'm going to pop that on. Snaps on, easy as you like. Pop that to one side. And I'm going to take, this is just a matte acrylic. There are many different kinds. You can use whatever you have to hand. And I'm going to, now you can always add more, remember. You don't want it to be too gloopy. You don't want too much on your brayer, because what that will do, well, we won't get all those nice white bits in between. It's not just about flooding it with color, because if it were, quite frankly, we could just use colored cardstock. But what I'm trying to do is get a little bit of texture in here. So we'll take all of that ink from there, like so. And you see what I mean? If you need more, if you need more, you can add more. So I'm just going to take a little bit more. And the best way to get this flooded with color is to lift it. So go back and forth like that and lift it as you're doing it. So that means it's going to be all over the face of that brayer. It's an ideal size. This little brayer, I love it for this kind of mixed media work. So there we are. That's my last piece. So if I put the medium matte to one side for a second, and then just bring in the others, you can see the color palette that were created. So these two from the same part of the spectrum, obviously the red, this is a much deeper red. That's more towards the orange end of the spectrum. And then finally, this pale blue here. So, and I've used those to die cut many of my pieces. I've done a separate one for the blocks as well. So you can see how that's starting to work. So let's take a look at the pieces I've die cut and let's see how we can put those together. So we can see here I've pre-cut all my, what I tend to do is I like to batch make these. So I make a ton of backgrounds and then I do a ton of die cutting. And I tend to put them in a little baggie and keep them until I need them. But there's so many, you can see how well this color palette is kind of working together here. You can see all these wonderful blocks and the way that they work together. Like for example, if I put those two, then the next size, what are we looking for? So I could put two squares. I could put that square and then another square in there against there. In fact, let's scrape these away and do that, shall we? So that builds a background in itself there. Now, what you could do, you could just have those, or maybe let's bring these squares in and pop these on there like that, and maybe. And then I'll bring some of the little motifs in. That one there. So that, you'll notice that a lot of the bits that are cut are actually the same height, the same width. So all these constants always working together like that. Let's put another one there. So, you know, you can just continue to build this. So you can have that one down there. Maybe take that out. I don't know. Maybe bring the house one in. And you can cut the windows as well in the house if needs be. And you just keep building this until you get it where you want. So let's take those two away and add that one to the side. So you can see what I mean. There's so many ways of creating these wonderful patterns. How about that across the center of this? So you see what I mean about the constant widths. Everything fits together. It's a really, really cool system. So credit to Tim for coming up with this. It's very, very clever. Now, let's push some of these to one side for just a second, because I'm going to start putting together a card. And I've got some PVA glue here. I'm just going to pop a little bit on there before grabbing my tweezers. You can see I've pre-stamped this card. I kind of know the sizes that I'm going for. And let's open that out so we can have it flat. Now, I'm going to build out, I'm going to take one of the long, slim pieces, and I'm just applying this to the glue. I like to apply the pieces to the glue rather than the glue to the pieces. It just gives me a bit more control, and it means I don't get all those horrible gluey bits all over the place. So we'll make sure that's kind of equidistant from the side and the top. And then I'll take, which one's next? Let's take this one and pop this towards the top. So I know that 2 of this size is going to make 1 of that size. And I also know it's the same width as this size. So really smart, really smart. Once you start playing with these, of course, it starts to give up its secrets, and you start to figure out intuitively how how these work, how to go together, and then once you've nailed that, then the ideas really start to flow. So a bit more glue, and let's take this lovely tool, tree shape. You know what? If you just use the trees from this, you can have a pretty stunning card. And we'll pop that one down there, and then I'll take the smaller tree size. Now I know the base of this is exactly the same width as this rectangle, and not only that, but the same height as well. There we are now. I'll take this one. So I always like to work, you see I've chosen 5 colors. I always think when you're building things like this, 5 colors is as much as you need. Anything less, you maybe struggle a bit. You could do it with 4 colors, but I do like to have 5 distinctly different tones. So take this lovely deep red here, pop it in the glue, and have that coming up the side, so you can see same height as the block. Everything designed to work together. Wonderful, wonderful set. A bit more glue, I think. Now, detail. So it's the same width again as these, so I could put this wherever I fancy, but I'm going to wrap this, I'm going to put this across the tree, maybe more towards the base, like that. So you see how I was decision making as I went along there. There are no hard and fast rules with this. It's all very subjective. It's when it looks good, it is good. That's it. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Now, I'm going to put this tree, but I'm going to have it kind of off center. It would have been easy for me to put it up the center of the tall tree, but no. I just want it to go slightly off center like that. And then finally, that, I could put it up there, but it's kind of interfering with that. So I'm going to put that in the center of the tree, like that. Yeah, I'm liking that. You don't want to overwork it. You know, I could keep adding to that and different things, but I'm happy I'm happy with the balance. And again, there are no right and wrongs. You know, when you're happy, then it's all good to go. And there's the finished card. Now let's pop that there and bring in some of its little friends. So again, all made with the same color palette, different sizes. I mean, you could go really big. You could go even smaller than this, and this is the smallest of those 4 cards. As I said earlier, you can use pattern paper. So if you have some of these wonderful festive patterns, you know, and there's a lot of tartans going on there, and bits and pieces and striped paper, some of the patterned with foliage, and then finally, if I take the ones that I did. Now again, this was craft card. I do love using craft card at Christmas time. Let's take this out of the way for a second. These 2, again, you can see all those bits, the bits that we've just been using now. But I didn't use the blocks this time. I just used the pieces that came from it together with that wonderful wood grain embossing folder. So there we have it, holiday blocks. As I said, it is my favorite from the collection, but if you want to see the rest of the collection, there are some absolute stunners amongst them. You know, we've got a hub on the Sizzix website, so go there, see all the new Tim Holtz stuff. Go across to Tim's sites, that's timholtz.com, and he will talk about these at great length, what makes them so special to him. You will also see some of his maker's work, which is incredible, really, really cool. I can tell you this in advance now, these are the ones I'm going to use for my Christmas cards this year, so all of my family are going to get holiday blocks. Christmas cards. I do hope you like them. I do hope you liked it. It's really simple, really straightforward. There's not a lot to it, but it's one of those, it keeps giving. There's so many ways that you can switch it around. I've just scraped the surface. There's a lot more fun to be had from this set yet. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Pete, and I'll see you again soon.